Welcome back to Crossings, the show where we take one image, one idea, and follow it across museums, centuries, and continents. Today's thread, a single biblical scene, painted, drawn, and engraved by 8 different artists between roughly 1460 and 1909.
And just to set the scene for anyone who doesn't know it, what is this scene?
It's called The Rest on the Flight into Egypt. In the Gospel of Matthew, an angel warns Joseph in a dream that King Herod plans to kill the infant Jesus, so the Holy Family flees to Egypt overnight. Rest on the flight is the moment they stop along that journey, Mary, Joseph, and the baby just resting.
So it's not really an action scene?
No, and that's exactly why artists loved it. It's quiet, it's domestic, it's a family. You can read almost anything into it.
Which is what makes today's lineup so fun. Same basic scene, 8 totally different artists, and by the end you'll see, they're not really painting the Holy Family. They're each kind of revealing themselves. Eulalia, want to kick us off?
Start around 1460, about 30 years before Columbus crosses the Atlantic. This is a page from an Italian manuscript, and we don't know who made it.
Wait, completely unknown? No name at all?
Completely. Most religious art from this period was made by workshop artists and their names just weren't recorded. The point wasn't to be famous. It was to make a sacred story feel close enough to touch for someone praying with this book in their hands.
And notice, they're still moving in this one. They're not resting yet.
Right, this is the before. Almost every artist after this chose a different moment. Not the running, but the stopping. Shay, this next one's yours.
Fast forward 50 years to 1509, Germany. Same era as Albrecht Dürer and Lucas Cranach. And the big change here isn't the artist, it's the technology.
Printing, was that the major shift?
Exactly. A single woodblock or copper plate could now produce hundreds of copies. For the first time, ordinary people, not just churches or wealthy patrons, could own a devotional image.
And rest on the flight became one of the most popular subjects in this new medium because it's quiet and human. It fits in your hand. It doesn't need a church wall.
Edward, you're up next.
This one looks busier, more dramatic poses. This is Jan Muller, a Dutch engraver. His father, Harman Jans Muller, was also a celebrated printmaker, so this was genuinely a family business. Jan trained in Haarlem under Hendrik Goltzius, one of the great virtuoso engravers of the period.
And Goltzius and his circle were working in a style we now call Mannerism. Exaggerated poses, swirling drapery, everything pushed a little further than real life.
Right. Even a tender scene like this becomes a technical performance. Muller engraved with such precision that collectors across Europe sought out prints with his name on them, a bit like looking for a particular workshop's mark today.
Back to you, Eulalia, for this next one.
Take a look at this one. See if you can even find the Holy Family.
Wait, where are they? I almost missed them.
That's the whole point. This is Claude Lorrain. Full name Claude Gelée, nicknamed Le Lorrain because he came from the Lorraine region of France. He became the most sought-after landscape painter in Rome, and in his hands a biblical scene becomes almost an excuse. Mary, Joseph, and the baby get tucked into the corner of this huge glowing landscape. What he actually wanted to paint was the light, the trees, the distance.
That feels almost like cheating.
A lot of patrons agreed it was brilliant, actually. He was so popular and so widely forged that he started keeping a private notebook of drawings of every painting he made, called the Liber Veritatis, the Book of Truth. It's now in the British Museum. He literally needed a system to prove which paintings were real.
Shay, this next one's a big one.
This next one has one of the most remarkable stories in the whole lineup. This is Elisabetta Sirani, working in Bologna. Her father, Giovanni Andrea Sirani, was a painter who'd trained under Guido Reni, one of the biggest names of the era. When her father's health declined, Elisabetta didn't just help out. She effectively ran the family workshop and supported the household financially. By the time she died, she'd produced well over 150 paintings and prints, and she was still in her 20s.
In her 20s? That's incredible.
She died at 27 in 1665. And here's the part that always gets people. Her death was so sudden that her father accused a maidservant of poisoning her. There was a trial. The maid was tried and acquitted. An autopsy suggested Sirani had actually died of natural causes, likely a stomach ulcer. But the accusation alone tells you how shocking her death felt to everyone around her.
And she was buried in a truly remarkable location.
In the same tomb as Guido Reni, the master her father had trained under a generation earlier. She'd also founded one of the first academies in Europe specifically to train women as painters. So this quiet image, a mother holding her child, just resting, was made by someone who, by all accounts, never really got to slow down at all.
Edward, over to you for the next one.
This one's different. There's an angel up top with huge wings. This is the only piece in our lineup that shows the cause of the journey, not just the rest stop. That's the angel from the start of the story, the one who warns Joseph in his dream to flee.
Most artists skip straight to the rest, right?
It's also just a drawing, a study, not a finished painting. And sometimes the most personal version of a story is the one that was never meant for a gallery wall at all.
Eulalia, take us into the home stretch.
This is the moment in the story where someone finally does something nobody had done with this scene in 400 years. They moved it to a completely different location. This is a study related to Luc-Olivier Merson's painting, Rest on the Flight into Egypt, shown at the Paris Salon of 1879. In the finished painting, Mary and the infant Jesus are asleep in the arms of a giant stone sphinx, while Joseph dozes by a dying campfire and their donkey grazes nearby. It was hugely popular at the Salon. There are several painted versions, one of which is in the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston.
And Merson went on to have a quietly enormous influence on French visual culture more broadly. By the early 1900s, the Bank of France had contracted him to design some of the country's banknotes.
From a sleeping family in the arms of a sphinx to the money in people's pockets.
Same artist, same eye for atmosphere. Shay, you'll close us out.
Last stop, 1909. And this one's a real turn, both in the story and for the artist. Jean-Louis Forain spent most of his career as a satirist. Sharp, sometimes cruel caricatures of Parisian high society, courtrooms, the ballet. He ran in the same circles as Degas. Not exactly devotional art territory.
So what changed?
In the early 1900s, Forain went through a real religious reawakening. He became a devout, practicing Catholic, and his work took on a noticeably darker, more solemn tone from that point on. This 1909 print is part of that later chapter.
The same hand that once skewered Parisian society, now drawing a family at rest.
Okay, so, running total. We've got an anonymous Italian manuscript painter, a German print workshop, a Dutch engraving dynasty, the most famous landscape painter in Rome, a 25-year-old running her father's studio in Bologna, a Viennese draftsman, a salon sensation who later designed French banknotes, and a satirist who found religion late in life.
8 artists, 4.5 centuries, 6 museums, 3 continents. None of them knew about each other. None of them were trying to be part of a series.
But give enough artists across enough time the same simple instruction, paint a family resting on a journey, and you don't get the same picture 8 times. You get 8 artists, each quietly revealing what they actually cared about: landscape, virtuosity, status, faith.
That's what LinkedCulture is for. Finding the threads that connect a 1460 manuscript page to a 1909 satirist's print, sitting in 6 different museums that nobody had put side by side until now.
Subscribe for more crossings through art history. We'll see you next time.